Hello, guys. Welcome to the reality room review with myself, Mo. I hope all of you are well wherever you are. And yeah, I just want to step right into it and back into today's episode. Now, today I'm going to discuss Suliman Carrim and his appearance or lack of appearance at the Madlanga Commission and what that has done for the commission. And I would just like to dissect my thoughts with all of you. Now, Suliman Carrim was supposed to show up at the commission on the 14th of August, of which he didn't. In fact, the person who showed up was his lawyer, who we have seen more of in the past 5 months than we have of Suliman Carrim. But in any case, that would be for the last time that we're actually seeing him, because the commissioners got a recommendation from its evidence leader to press or to lay criminal charges against Carrim for his lack of or his refusal of coming to the commission. Not only that, I believe that on the 29th of May it was discussed that he would be excused if at all an independent medical examination was done on him that would prove, I guess, his reasoning as to not being able to show up at the commission. But he never went for the independent assessment at all. So therefore, the commissioners were like, we're rejecting everything, including, I guess, including the medical report that you guys have presented to us, coming from his doctor. Because that is not an independent assessment. It is a medical report coming from his doctor, and the commissioners wanted to have an independent expert who would examine Carrim and who would testify to the fact that, yes, his case is bad or severe, and that's the reason why he shouldn't be testifying at the commission. So the commissioners have decided that they are going to lay charges. Now my question is for the commission is that whether they have lost, I guess, valuable information and valuable evidence by doing this, by taking the step of stopping or ending his testimony and saying that they will deal with the information that they've already accumulated, or they will deal with the testimony that he has given so far. Has the commission lost or gained? And that is what I want to get into, and I would like to dissect in this video. Now, I will be asking like 3 main questions that I will keep reverting back to throughout this video. Now, first question is, what has Carrim told us, right, in his previous testimony? And the second question is, what questions remain unanswered by him not showing up at the commission? And the last question is, was stopping Carrim's testimony worth the price for the commission? So those are the 3 main questions that I will be answering in this video. So what he told us, number 1 was his connection to Medicare 24. So he said that he invested around 10 million rands into the medical Care 24, but he only received an amount of 1.74 million rands. He also told us that Brown Mokgotsi seemed to have known more about the repayments before or ahead of Cat Matlala. Right. Now, as you guys remember, that with the Medicare 24, it is connected with the tender from SAPS. So it was a 360 million rand tender, and of which I guess the repayments of that are part of the reason why Fani Masamula has been arrested. Remember, they made payments to After Kid Matala won the tender and was paid, there were sums of money that he was paid, but he wasn't paid the amount in full because it had to be stopped. The National Police Commissioner had to stop that process, that payment process for that due to investigations that were being done. Now, secondly, we learned about his relationship with Kat Matlala, right? So he had more of a financial or personal relationship with Kat Matlala, right? So it goes to a point where the fact that he played a role as more of a lender in terms of the Medicaid 24 tender. And the way that he played it out, where he was like, no, he was going on the word of Brown Mokgotsi as to vouching for Kat Matlala, making sure that he is the right person to actually like fund his business. You will get like good returns and whatever. So those that kind of financial relationship of which he was probed a lot by Advocate Charles Gilson as to his relationship with him, and why is it that all the time he paid out these amounts of money, even though he kept painting the relationship as more or less of a business or of somebody he doesn't really know. He just said that he knew each other in terms of like circles or other circles as well, but he didn't directly work with him until the Medicare 24 tender actually came along, where they started being a little more in contact with each other. Now, another interesting thing is the fact that Brown Mokgotsi is also somebody who is within the circle of Carrim as well. They're both from Northwest, they're both businessmen, and he also alleged to the point that Brown Mokgotsi's wife, he says that Brown Mokgotsi's wife has like businesses, so he has had, I guess, what was it? He said that he, in terms of like these landscaping equipment that he's actually bought from her, and I think she's also got like a cleaning company, so they come there and there to actually clean his house and stuff like that. So he does have a closer relationship with Brown Mokgotsi, who he is known for, I think, roughly 15 years. That's what he said. So that's the reason why he relied more on Brown's opinion or business opinion, in terms of people when they're in a circle. So they're both from the Northwest. They're both part of they have memberships within the ANC. There is a ward or a district where I believe Karim was the treasurer of that ward. So so they've known each other a little while. So that's the reason why his relationship with Brown, he says that it is a bit closer. Now, the interesting part is that he was also questioned about his relationship with Senzo Mqunu, of which he said that he did not know Senzo Mqunu. In fact, the only thing that he knew was what Brown was telling him, or rather what Brown was alleging, to a point where he says that when Brown was trying to make it seem as if he does have this close relationship with Senzo Mqunu, there's a point in time where he did kind of realize that maybe this guy was taking me for a ride. But a lot of his testimony was the fact that he was the fool to everything, and he was just this good, I guess, businessman helping out other business people, right? So yeah, and I guess the fourth element of it for me, or the fourth important part, was him stating his relationship with Hangwani Mamela, who he did refer to as a friend. He said that he bought a house from Hangwani Mamela, and ever since then they did have some sort of, I guess, a personal friendship. between the both of them. It's gone to a point where there was a chrome mine that they were actually getting into business together, where I think they both had to contribute an amount of like 55 million both. And it ended up they ended up getting to that venture, but Hangwani, there was a point where he said that he was financially had some financial issues, so therefore he needed the money to be reversed back to him, and of which Karim said that he managed to pay him. He gave him 42 million rand. He didn't give him the full 55 as it was discussed. But there's a lot in that relationship with Hangwani Mamela that we still did not get enough information from. We also know that he also paid Mamela, I think, about 500,000 rands, which were payments that he said that Kat Matala had pressured him into making. So as you can see, like, there's a lot of intersections that are actually happening between these three men, especially with the cases that are at hand, like for instance the Timbisa hospital, as well as the Medicare 24 tender for subs, and which are also central to the commission and its own investigations, right? And there's also a lot of political influence as well that these three men are mostly aware of and can give clarity on, especially when coming to all the allegations that have been made by General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. So they are very central to this case. Now, before I get into the unanswered questions that I have, and I hope some of you will have, is what exactly was the relationship that Kat Matlala and Suliman Carrim had, that we need clarity on. What was the purpose of the payments? Because those payments were actually unexplained, right? He refused to answer some of those questions. And another question that comes to mind is, what did Karim know about Hangwani Maumela that he was so hesitant in not saying at the commission? What exactly was Brown Mokhuti's role? And another thing as well is that, did Karim actually know about any other political interventions that were being done, right, in terms of the tender processes and so forth? Another thing that comes to mind as well is, what could he tell us about the kind of relationship that the police and political senior figures, such as like your Biggie Qiles and your Senzo Mtkunu, what kind of relationship did they have with other businessmen as well, like the Hangwani Maumelas and the Kat Matlalas? Because he did also touch onto the fact that he walked into a meeting, I think, between Kat Matlala and Biggie Qile, right? But he never revealed what was said, what he overheard, or anything like that, and those are things that he was very reluctant in revealing. And and so there's a reason why he stopped attending the commission. And those things are very key and very... Now, for my final question, was stopping Karim's testimony worth the price for the commission, right? And I just want to bring like arguments for stopping Karim and arguments also for against why I do believe that they shouldn't have stopped him in the first place. Now, in terms of the reasons for stopping him, I do understand protecting the integrity of the commission. The commission cannot be held hostage by one witness, right? And we cannot go through this over and over again. That much I am for, right? And Karim was also given multiple opportunities to actually come to the commission and submit, right? And of which he didn't do. And it's very it's very funny how his lawyer kept talking about audio rights when they were talking about laying charges against him, and as if that was being infringed upon when he was given opportunity after opportunity. So therefore he had exhausted the audio rights as his lawyer was trying to argue for him, right? Another thing is that this also needed to be a message that needed to be sent out to future witnesses who would be pulling the same stance as Karim has. I mean, we've seen even before. I think also Farouz Khan was asked to come to the commission, and of course, when he had to come, then that's when his whole shooting actually happened. But Mokhodzi also pulled a similar stunt. Even though it was too late for him, he had already shown up at the commission and he had already given up a lot of his testimony, even though towards the end he wasn't complying necessarily. Shadrach Sibia also at some point as well. I mean, right now he's not going to be giving any further testimonies to the commission, right? So all of those things also play a role in why it was important for the commission to take the decision that they did in terms of laying charges and stopping Karim's test. Now, why am I against them having to stop Karim from showing up at the commission is the fact that he was potentially, I think, a significant witness who could basically put all the dots together. He knew and he intersected and had business relations with people who are central to the investigations that are around in terms of the Medicaid 24 contract tender with SAPS, as well as the Timbisa Hospital with Morgan Maumela, right? And that is very important to the commission, and we never got answers for that, right? Another thing is that there were contradictions that he had made that had already been emerged, as I said earlier on, with his interaction with Advocate Chaskelson, who said that, there's evidence that proves otherwise. You are telling us this, but there's evidence that we've already accumulated that is telling us something else, and even Advocate Baloyi, or rather Commissioner Baloyi, also spoke of the fact that there were times when he was talking about, oh no, I just simply did this, and he made it seem as if he was being pushed all around by Madlanga and Brown Mokhodzi, and where he was this little pushover and he was helpless, and he never ever got into the real reasons why he was transferring that amount of money to the people that he was giving the money to, right? Another thing is that further questioning of this witness could have produced more, or rather additional information, which is why it's ridiculous having to watch Kat Matlala say that, okay, these are people that I'm not willing to actually speak about, throughout my testimony, also invoking his rights to not self-incriminate. That is also a hindrance onto the commission itself. Right. And so therefore, the more questions that you actually ask a person, the more additional information that you never thought about would actually come out. And that, unfortunately, is an opportunity that this commission will never have with Karim as a witness. Now, there's been some sort of contradictions as well. I haven't seen Kat Matlala's full testimony at the commission yesterday, but also there are parts of his testimony that kind of contradict what Karim said at the commission in the first place. Had he been given the opportunity to actually complete his full testimony, I do believe that we could be able to see or give a balanced view of his evidence versus Matlala's evidence as well. So right now it gives other people an opportunity to be able to, I guess, throw him under the bus and so forth. Now that he will never be able to actually testify, and he will never be able to give his side of the story. And so And so on both sides, this was a missed opportunity, right? But with all of that said, you guys can comment on your, I guess, thoughts on this video and on all the points that I've actually brought up, as to whether or not it was a good idea to actually stop Suliman Carrim's testimony at the commission, right? Even with all the opportunities that have been given to him, and him, I guess, shunning them or refusing them as well, has also played a role in him not being able to fully finish his testimony with the commissioners. Now, I saw Kat Madlanga was testifying yesterday. I will do a video on that. This video right now, I was just brushing up on going back to Suliman Carrim's testimony, and I will come back. I know that more light has been shed, so I will come back to that. And it also was kind of irritating as well with Madlanga and his lawyers as well, where it seemed as if the same story was being played out once again, so the integrity and the reputation of this commission has been called, and it is sad to see on my side. I think we are all looking for some sort of justice to prevail at the end of all of this, but that's as much of my own personal opinion that I can actually give on the matter. But with that said, like, comment, share, subscribe. Let's get down in the comments and discuss all of this. Bye, guys.